Ella. Welcome to the video. I'm playing dress up. Something that's really crucial to practice is just enjoying your own company. Like literally just sit here and then just make the weirdest face that you can in the mirror and then laugh about it, and then before you know it, you're like laughing by yourself. I've just been trying lately not to take myself so seriously. It's so difficult because everything matters. Me stepping right or me stepping left or me turning right at the stoplight or me going straight. I'm very analytical in a sense that I pay attention, which is fun, but I also like analyze every teensy weensy thing that happens to me to see how it all like strings together. I think that's something that makes life more exciting. I also think it can lead to a very swirly, spirally mind, which isn't always a great thing. It's just overthinking like everybody else does. I think it's one of those things that is a greatest strength and a greatest weakness at the same time. The cycle that I go through is that I will like learn something, or I'll come to some huge like revelation, or like do something awesome and I'll be like, yes, I finally got it all figured out. It's a very harmful mindset to have, is that I've finally figured it out, or this is the answer. Nobody ever has it figured out. Like, how can we have it figured out when we don't even know why we're here? To just always grow and try and better yourself, but be okay with the fact that even if you like get through an obstacle or you like realize something new about yourself, it's not like all done, like woohoo, figured it all out. Because that's how I feel like a lot of the time. And then I just like will end up disappointing myself. I think I'm really hard on myself, so I'm trying not to be. Tonight is gonna be fun because I have the whole house to myself. I have nobody to please except myself. I'm back, and now she can fly, she can fly. My new thing lately is to start studying like the stories of Disney movies, their origins and like all of the different versions of them, and their impact on society, because many of them are racist and sexist. So this has been my thing, is studying these for my own pleasure, for nothing other than that. I just finished reading Peter Pan. Where is it? I think I'm gonna watch the Disney version tonight, which I'm very excited about. It's like this feeling of like watching something and then you like are remembering it as it's like playing out, but you didn't know that you remembered it. If you can't tell, I'm kind of obsessed with like childhood. I don't really know why. I think one thing is that it just makes me feel like that sense of imagination. I was talking about this with my friend Erland, how when we were little kids we could literally just have two toys and like make an entire world and just entertain ourselves for hours, and they could just talk to each other and like interact in this universe that we would just create in our minds. I'm like, I wish I could still do that. Every time my parents would put me in a timeout, I had this box of toys. It was like dogs and like what are they called? Polly Pockets. That was my box. It was like my world in that little box, and I would love being put on timeout. Uh-oh. I just cried all my makeup off and then I put it back on. So whatever I was saying before was like 3 hours ago. I really like crying and looking in the mirror and like looking in my eyes and then like crying and like watching like the emotion in my eyes, and then the tears like fall down. And I like crying when I'm in my car, and I like screaming when I'm in my car too, especially like on the freeway. Before I could drive, I don't know what I did when I couldn't scream in my car. And then I'll probably be going to the East Coast for college, to a place where I will not have a car. And what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna scream? College. Ah! Life! Ah! I am applying to film school. I just want to be making things. I love making films. I love the medium of film. I just want to go about it in a sense where I'm not pressuring myself to go to Hollywood. I've grown up in Los Angeles, so I'm like around like the physical location of like Hollywood. It's not like I can like move to LA to make it in film. I want to go other places. I've been really into French cinema lately, so I'm also trying to learn French because I really want to make a film in French. I've taken Spanish throughout my high school years, so I know zero French, but thank you Duolingo for getting me started. Listen to like this overnight thing where it's like 8 hours of like overnight French, and it just like repeats like phrases to you in French while you sleep, and it has binaural beats that are supposed to like help you learn better. So I did that last night, and it's just like all of these French people just speaking to me in my sleep. I'm excited to go somewhere where I can walk places. I'm excited to take trains. Like, I've been thinking a lot about trains lately. There's so much to explore, and I'm excited. I have a array of many animal hats. It's growing though. It's not as vast of an array as I would like it to be yet. But I've got my ladybug, I've got a sloth, and I've got a pig. What should I get next? Let me know. I'm working on a lot right now. I feel like I find a lot of inspiration from like my life and my little everyday things, but it takes other people's work and other movies to like strip it out of me in order to like create something physical from like all that inspiration. You know how people are always like, you are what you eat. One thing I do think that we are is the media we consume. I'm in post on a project right now called Tree Hugger. As I'm editing, I'm like, oh, it's not good. I have to remind myself that not everything I make has to be perfect. And then also I have to remind myself that I literally feel this way about every single film before I finish it. A year ago from like this month and like this time of the year, I was working on Bloom, which was a difficult process because it was very emotional for me and I was in a very emotional point in my life. Also, I was just having a lot of difficulty with the claymation because I didn't know how to do it. Here I am, a year later, I'm making clay arms. The clay arms in Bloom were like big scary arms. But in my new film, Tree Hugger, the trees grow arms and the trees are real but the arms are clay, so I'm doing like a hybrid of live action and claymation. I'm sitting here in like the same exact place in my bedroom floor, like making these clay arms, except now the arms, this is like a spoiler alert for my own movie, but like it's okay because I just want to make my point. But now I'm making arms and their purpose is to let trees hug themselves. I think I've just come a long way with love in general and how love does not only mean a relationship, you know? And I think I just always like put that pressure on myself that like I needed to like find love by being in a relationship, which like proved itself to really not work out in my favor. I think there's a difference between loving someone and like being in love with someone. Like I really think those are two different things. But I also think that you can be in love with somebody that doesn't need to be like in a relationship, you know what I mean? Like you can literally be in love with your friends or be in love with your life. We can be in love with so many things that aren't relationships. I feel like I'm falling back in love with making movies. I think that specific like lesson or whatever shows up in like almost a bookending of me making Bloom last year and me making Tree Hugger this year. I've come a lot closer to what one could call self-love. I will not always be able to love myself in the way that I felt like I have been able to lately, and that's okay. I'm gonna share some things in my notes app. A lot of like inspiration comes in random moments when I'm not like writing or like creating anything really. I like to keep track of things. Oh, I've been doing this every night. Before I go to bed, I say, today I am proud of myself for fill in the blank. And then tomorrow I will work on whatever I feel like I want to work on. It's just nice to have it written down, to like write down that you're proud of yourself for something. And it's also nice to just always acknowledge that we're forever growing. Like even if we're proud of ourselves for something, we still have something else to work on. Sweet interactions. A lady in Play Clothes, which is like a vintage shop, says she likes my Daniel Johnston shirt. And I asked her what her first impression of his music was when he first came out. And she said that he seemed delicate. Curious George questions. Oh my gosh, because I remember my 2020 New Year's resolution was to be Curious George. And I honestly feel like I accomplished it. Does a baby's first word resemble anything about their personality? How do birds' stick legs hold their bodies up? This is actually something that inspired my film Tree Hugger. Okay, so this is like a perfect example of when I talk about like why it's so important to keep a list of things. I was just kind of like watching my brain, like seeing what I was thinking of. And I started wondering, I was like, what makes these trees alive? I genuinely just like couldn't remember like biology class, and I was like, wait, like what makes something alive? What do we all have in common? Like I just like felt dumb for a second, but it was that dumbness that led to curiosity. Maybe that's why kids are so curious, because they don't know anything, but they're okay with not knowing anything. But we're all just kind of dumb. I was laying there in the grass, looking at the trees, and I was like wondering this, so I wrote it in my notes app, in my Curious George questions, and then when I went back to write a film, I saw that, and I was like, what makes something alive? And then I made a whole film about it. Just write down everything, like literally keep a space for just your random thoughts or your random questions. Okay, ready? Things I love. Humming, blue houses, purple cars, ladybugs, strawberries but not the taste, seeing all the different ways my friends draw people, The sun hitting my face and giving me freckles, painting my nails blue, eavesdropping, nature documentaries, little mini tea sets, live versions of songs and hearing the crowd cheer, warm lights on in distant house windows, anything paired with cigarettes, barns as mailboxes, animated title sequences, when people get a haircut and change their Bitmoji, saying jinx, driving sleeping people in the passenger seat, seeing little kid cars and slides and toys in front of a house, and imagining that kid coming back home from college.